Are you interested in Victoria 2? Maybe because of Victoria 3 announcement. Do you want to learn how to play the game? Then stay tuned, because this is the beginner's tutorial for Victoria 2. Hello everyone, this is Flying Dutchie and welcome to my complete beginner tutorial for Victoria 2. I'm going to teach you how the game works, and we will start with explaining all the things, and then later on we will do a sort of let's play for complete beginners. So if you have no idea how this game works and maybe you want to get into it, then this is the right series you want to watch. Now, before you watch this series, make sure you did the tutorial. The tutorial in the game is actually not bad. It will explain a lot of things. And do this first before we are going to my tutorial, so you have a general idea how the game works. Now, another thing I want to mention, we are in a beta patch 3.04, which released in 2016. And of course we have the both DLCs, Hearts of Darkness and A House Divided, I think is called. So you need those two and maybe get to this patch, the 3.04. You can do this in Steam by right-clicking on your game, go to Properties, and then to the Beta step. You can go to 3.04. You can also stay in 3.03. There are not that many differences. And let's just start doing the tutorial. So we are going to do a single-player game. Now, here you can see the world map. The game spans from 1836 to 1936, 100 years. And in those 100 years, you want to become a big empire, of course. You want to expand a bit, but you also want to make money. You want to build factories everywhere. You want to produce goods that you normally cannot produce without these factories. And become the #1 country. That is also a goal you can do. But we'll explain that later when we go into the game. So let's just have a look over the world here. You can also click on multiple timestamps in this game. You can start as the USA, for example. It still didn't colonize all the states. You have to war Mexico, and Texas is still independent. The colonial powers like the Netherlands, France, and Great Britain have colonies everywhere. Also over here. And of course, the Dutch have Indonesia, and the British are colonizing Australia and New Zealand. And the Spain have the Philippines, and so on and so on. Now, this is the normal starting date, 1st of January, but you can also start in 1861, for example. Let's see what the game does when it is loading. Takes a bit of time, apparently. There we go. So this is the normal start, the start that you normally would take. But if you want to start in 1861, you can click here, and you can start the game from this timestamp. And a lot of things happen in these first 25 years. Just take a look at this map, and then when it is loaded, for example, here we can play as the CSA. What's the name again? From the Confederate States of America. And the USA itself colonized everything here. And in Europe, things changed a little bit as well, not that much, but Italy formed, for example. And you can also do that yourself. So we will go back to this starting date because we want to explain the game from the start. It's the most fun, in my opinion, to start from this date because you can prepare for the industrialization and colonization of Africa. So let's see. Yeah, the game is loaded, I think. I think we're going to start as Sweden. I will start as Sweden because we are #9 country in the world, which means that we are not a great power. You need to be at the first 8 countries to be a great power, and then you have some privileges. We will try to become a great power and form Scandinavia. So let's just start and enter this game over here. Over here you can see all the countries and their rankings, but I will explain what it is when we are into the game. So yeah, there will be a lot of explanation at the start of the game. Maybe we will not play in the first 2 episodes. And there's the music. The music is fantastic in this game, by the way. It's really nice. And yeah, when you open the game, you think, what the hell am I looking at? Well, let's first click on the political map mode. Over here you have map modes you can use to play your game with. It makes it easier to find things out. Now we are now in the terrain map mode. As you can see, these are farmlands. You can see those farms. And here are woods or forests. If you go to political map mode, things shape up a little bit better. We now know where Sweden is, and we now know that we own all of this. If you want to know more about what you own, you can also click on your diplomatic map mode. And here, everything in the green is what you own. So we don't have any colonies, which makes it also easier to explain the game. We have nothing on the green on the map. The Russians, we have cores on the Russians. And these are the stripes. We have cores on Finland, and we want to try to conquer these from Russia at some point. And what do we have here? This is also striped. I guess this is striped because it's part of Scandinavia that we can form. But that's for later. So let's go back to the political map mode. So I will explain everything you see right now on the screen. These top buttons over here. What this all is, what this is, what you can do over here. And we will go over the map modes. And I think that's going to be the first episode. So if you already know everything, maybe you should skip to the second episode. But I will just try and explain everything very quickly. So not very detailed. Well, maybe I will, but let's see how it goes. Because there's a lot of things to explain. Let's first start with this one. This is a bit easier to explain. This is our flag. You can click on it, then you go to your diplomatic screen. This is our ranking. And this is very important. The 8 countries with the highest rank are great powers. They have an ability to influence and control lesser nations. So you don't have to conquer them. You need to do something with a very tedious diplomacy stuff thing, with favors and influence points, and if you use that, you can sphere other nations. And what you can do when you sphere these nations, you will have access to the goods they produce, which you maybe don't have on your own. And you can then have better access to these goods, and then you can produce other stuff from it with your manufactories, or your artisans, which is a pop type. I will explain the pop types in the next episode because it's very important. So yeah, we want to try to become number 8 or higher. So we are 9. So we need to take over one more country. How are we going to do this? There are 3 categories that give you a ranking. At this point, we have 0 industrial power. And we are 14th in the world, so that means that only 13 countries in the world have started industrialization of their country. We don't have any factories, so we are 14th with a lot of other countries, I think. Then there is a prestige modifier. You can get this by events, by researching certain technologies. And the higher this number, the higher your prestige ranking will be. And then there is a military power. It's the measure power of your army. If it scores your military by both size and equipment. So as you can see here, we get 8 points from leaders who can lead our armies. We have a couple of capital ships, and we have soldiers and army 13.8. We have 22 points, which gives us 10. So we have a total of 33 points. Now when I click on my flag here, and you can see all the nations in the world. You click on all. You go to sort by rank. Then you can see here that we are number 9 with 37 points. Here is the score. We have 37 points. If we want to be 8, we have to beat the USA. The USA is having 61 points, so it's going to be very hard for us in the beginning to become a great power. Now, when we click on the Show Great Powers button, you can see all the great powers and their scores. So, the United Kingdom is, of course, so very powerful. They have 217 points. The Ottomans will decline normally in a normal game, but hey, we are recording, and when Dutchy is recording, weird things are gonna happen. So, maybe the Ottomans will actually rise this game. You never know. And we have to try to take one of these spots. That's all you need to know for now. We also have a colonial power points here. You need these points to colonize other provinces. Now, we cannot colonize right now. One, we are not bordering any territories. For example, if you play as the Netherlands, you border this state over here. This is part of the Ghana state, these 4 provinces. And then you can click this button, and then you can colonize. But we cannot do it, because we are not bordering it, and we don't have the life rating for it. You get more life rating with certain technologies. Now, at the beginning, it's impossible to colonize these provinces, because the life rating is 15. These colonies will only be colonizable later on in the game, when you have all these inventions. These are inventions, these red texts from certain technologies, and then you can colonize it. So there are a couple of things you can colonize at the start of the game. For example, this state over here. This one has a life rating of 35. We can colonize this right now, but we can't because we are not bordering it. And we will change this very soon. We will go to war with Sokoto very, very soon. And why Sokoto, I will also explain very soon as well. So we need more colonial points. You always want more colonial points, because then you can colonize more things. You get these by building naval bases and building ships. And certain ships give more colonial points than others. But we will go over that when we go to the military screen. So this is the screen over here. You see your colonial points, your rankings, and your country ranking. We'll try to become a great power. We are now a secondary power, so we can still colonize. The top 16 countries can colonize, and the top 8 can colonize and sphere other nations. Here you can see, of course, the timer. As in all the other Paradox games, you can raise the speed and lower the speed. And with spacebar you unpause and pass, or you click over here. Don't care about the newspapers. It's funny to read, but you never use it actually. So let's go over these tabs over here. Now the first tab is the production. Now don't get scared, it doesn't really matter. So when you click on the production tab, first you will get to the factories tab over here. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 states where we can build a factory. Now we will not focus on factories at the start of the game, because they are not worth it. Well, maybe a little bit, but we will go over that later. So here you can see the factories, and you can click on all these goods if you want to see factories who rely or produce a certain good. For example, later on in the game you can build a factory that makes machine parts, which is this icon. And you need machine parts to upkeep your factory, so these machine parts will be used more and more and more and more in the course of the game. So it will be very profitable for you to have a machine parts factory. Another thing you want to get is steel. Where's steel? This is iron. Steel is over here, and you make steel with iron and coal. So if you don't have any coal and iron in your own country, you need to buy it from the world market, and that can be a problem. So you generally want to have these goods in your own country, or in your sphered country, the countries you sphere in the world. Because then you have access to their goods first. And then you can make steel, and steel will be used for a lot of other things, and so on and so on. Now when we go to the production, here you can see all the goods that are available, or that are actually coming in the game. At this moment we only make a little bit of canned food, timber, a little bit of coal, a little bit of iron, we make a little bit of glass, we make lumber, paper, we have farmers who produce fish, farmers who make grain, we have artisans who make wine, and we have artisans who make furniture. Now all these symbols will tell you who is making the good. For example, at the moment we have a couple of artisans who are producing canned food. Now this symbol is a craftsman. These people work in a factory. You can make a canned food factory. And then artisans later on in the game will become very bad. And you have to try to get craftsmen, because they work more efficient in a factory to make a certain good. And you need canned food for your soldiers, for example. It's their upkeep. If you don't give them upkeep, they will be less good. So That's what you want to focus on. Coal is only be mined by laborers. Also iron, as you can see over here. We are having woodcutters. These are called laborers who make timber. Glass, for example, is also made by our artisans. And later on, we will build a glass factory, and then our craftsmen can make glass. And glass you need, when you click on it, for a lot of things. Later on, we can build telephones and radios, and we need glass for the winery and the liquor distilleries. And so on and so on. And when you click on the machine parts, let's find it, which is a very interesting thing to make early on. It's over here. Machine parts are used by aeroplanes, factories, artillery factory. Every factory is listed because they all need upkeep. All these factories you can build later on. So that is your production screen. Also projects, when you get capitalists and you have the right politics, you can use your capitalists to build things for you. Right now we can build factories on our own, but capitalists can also build it on their own, and they put their money into something new. But that is the production screen. But yeah, we don't have to do much with it at the beginning. Then we have the budget screen, so you can click on this one. Here you can see where your funds are going. Now, you have 3 different types of strata. You have your rich, who are your... Hello? Oh, it doesn't show? That's stupid. Well, we'll go over it... No, it doesn't show. That's a pity. But you have rich, who are your capitalists and aristocrats. You have the middle, who are your leaders, your clerks, who are smart craftsmen, your clergymen, your bureaucrats, and your artisans. And your poor people are your soldiers, slaves, laborers, farmers, and craftsmen. And for all these types, there are 3 types. You can say how much you want to tax them. Now, at the start of the game, you want to do this. But Dutchy, then they don't have any taxation anymore because you are taxing them for 100%. No, that is not true. I am taxing them 100% of my tax efficiency, which is 23%. So when the slider is up over here, we tax them for 23% of their income. The same counts for the middle and the rich. And later on, with certain technologies, you can increase the number of your effective tax percentage to 30 or maybe 40%. That can be a good way to make more money at the start of the game, for example. So that is over here. When you have gold, you see your gold income over here. You can take loans. You pay a very small amount of interest, so at the start of the game you might get some loans, but don't worry about it. And then here is the expenses. This is our income, and here's our expenses. Now, this is some sort of morale or organization slider for your army. So if you are not at war, just put this to 0. Your armies want ammunition, they want small arms, and they want canned food to get their organization up. And you need organization to fight. So when you're not at war, just put it to 0. Your navy, you want clipper convoys, which is a very hard thing to get at the start of the game, especially when you are not a great power. When you're not at war, put it as low as you can. We cannot put it lower because of our conservative party. That's completely fine. Just put it lower. And here is what we are spending on construction. So if you are building naval bases, for example, this slider will mean something. Right now it doesn't change this number because we are not building anything. If I build a naval base, the game needs to buy the goods to build the naval base. And then with this slider you can say how quickly that will get bought from the world market or your own market. Then we have the education. Your clergymen are your teachers in your country. And that is listed over here, so we will go over this very soon. At the start of the game, almost always you want your education funding at the highest percentage. And the same counts for your bureaucrats. These pops are also very important for certain reasons I will explain in the next video. And you want more of them in your country than the start of the game. Right now we have 0.2% of our population bureaucrats. You want at least 1%, and later on in the game you want even more, because when you do reforms you want more bureaucrats. So the more you fund these people, the more people will become clergymen. And I think they can become clergymen when they have a certain education, a certain literacy. I think it's 50%. So if you have a farmer who has a literacy of 50%, and that farmer sees that he is getting more money when he becomes a clergyman, because we are funding the clergy a lot, he will decide, oh, I'm going to stop being a farmer and I will become a clergyman now. That is what this slider is doing. So when you have, for example, you have a lot of bureaucrats, maybe 2 or 3% of your population, you should lower this slider so you pay them less, because otherwise people will promote or demote to bureaucrats all the time. At the start of the game you want more of these 2 pop types, so you want to increase the slider. Now, social spending is for subsidies and pensions, and that will come later in the game. Military spending, if you raise this number, you make more people into soldiers and leaders. So remember, every pop is someone in this game. So if you fight a big war with a lot of soldiers and you lose and you lose and you lose, you actually lose population. And population makes money for you, because you can taxate population and you can put them in a factory. So you don't want to lose your population. We only have 1 million adult male population right now that can work for the country and that we can taxate. We want to increase this number as quickly as we can. That is also a goal in the game. You want more population. So I think I will spend more on military because I want more soldiers at the start of the game. And that makes our total expenses a lot higher than our income. So I wonder how this will go at the start. Maybe we will actually go broke. I have no idea. Then there is tariffs. That is the percentage you get that people need to pay you if they buy goods from the world market. Your pops need to buy goods to produce things. For example, your artisans that make furniture needs to buy wood. And if you don't have wood in your own market, they have to buy it from the world market. And then they have to pay 20% more to the state. If you have all the goods in your own market, which is your own country and your sphered countries, then there will be no tariffs, because you buy it from your own market. So it can be good to not have everything in your own market, but I think you should have and should try to get every good that is in the game produced in your own country or in your own sphere countries. Because then you have access to it. Oh, I clicked it away. So at the start of the game, just do 100%. We don't really care about our artisans. They will become craftsmen or something else later on in the game anyway. And these are the ones that are not getting their life needs at the start of the game. So that is the budget screen. Now, there is a technology screen, also very, very big. There's an army list, there is a navy list, commerce, culture, and industry. And all have their own things and bonuses. These are, for example, good for battles. You have a more dig-in cap, which gives a defense bonus when someone attacks you. The combat width goes down, and you can make engineers. Engineers are good to siege down forts. Your artillery becomes better. Artillery is the best unit in this game, but we will go over that later. More organization can be useful. More tactics and more morale can also be very useful. You can build your naval base to the next level, which means more colonial points. You can build other ships, steamer ships. Navies build quicker, your supply range goes up. Your naval organization goes up. Here is your your tax efficiency that we talked about in the budget screen. If you research all these ones, you get 5, 10, 15, 20, 25% more. At the moment we have 23, but then we have a tax efficiency of 48%. If you have a lot of pops and you need more money, maybe you should take that technology. Admin efficiency can also be really good for your pops need to use less goods to do the same thing. That is an admin efficiency. Their life needs. You can increase this. Then factory stuff, you can get more input efficiency, so you need less goods to make something. Here you get better diplomatic influence and more mining and farming output. So you make more coal and iron, for example, and more grain and fish. And the diplomatic influence is for great powers, that they can influence other nations to sphere them quicker. Factory output tech, you get more goods from the same amount of input. Then this is going to be very important for us at the start of the game. Your prestige gain. And remember, prestige is very important for us to climb the rankings to get to number 8. So at the start of the game we will try to get this romanticism tech very soon, so we can get more prestige. Now this is a very important one, philosophy. You want to always take this idea when you can, because you get 50% more research points. And here you get 100%. We can only take this when it is 1840. It's 1836, so we need to wait 4 years before we can click this one and get a 50% boost to our research points, which is this, the 10.39. Here you get education efficiency and colonial migration. Can be very good to teach people how to read a book. Here you can get more national focus points, which is this number, which we will go over very soon as well. But we are not going to take this in the first 5 years. And here you have reinforcement percent and I don't know the other one actually. Regenerative experience or something, I don't know. But this one is not very important, I think. And then there's the industry tab. You can build the railroads, so your factories work better. You can get more coal and iron production output, which is very good. We can build a steel factory because we start with mechanized mining. Factory throughput tax, and mining and farming output, and also the RGO output. We will go over RGO output later as well. At the start of the game, maybe you really want to start with medicine. Medicine gives supply limit, but it also gives inventions. And a couple of these inventions, can I hover over it? No. Give pop growth. And as I told you already, your pop is the most important thing in this game, because more pops means more soldiers and more money. So I think we will start with medicine. And there's also an invention that is almost the lowest one. It's called prophylaxis against malaria. And this gives minimum life rating 5%. So we can then colonize not 35% life rating, but 30% provinces as well, when we have the range and when we are bordering them. So we will start with medicine, and I'll immediately start the research. You can read all these things if you want. There's some nice photographs, and here are the inventions you can get with this technology. Also your army attrition goes down, which is very, very nice. So let's start with medicine. You almost always want to start with medicine over here. How much time do I have left? Let's end the first episode here. In the next episode I will talk about this screen, the politics, the population, trade, diplomacy and military. And maybe some map modes. And then maybe in the third episode we will start talking about all the different pops and what they do. Now make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you didn't do it yet. And I hope to see some of you at least in the next episode. Bye bye.